What up, roomies? Tonight's guest is a storyteller who blends science fiction, espionage, and high stake innovations into her work. Dante Terese is the author of the Base series, a suspenseful sci-fi story is set inside of a secret military research facility, where brilliant scientists are developing powerful inventions while spies and criminals attempt to steal them. Her work explores not just technology and intrigue, but also ethical questions that come with innovation and power. Now she's taking her story even further by working on adapting the series from a book into a web or film series. Tonight, we're talking about the story behind The Base, the creative process of writing, science fiction, and what it takes to turn a book into a visual series. Dante, Therese, welcome to Neighbors. How you doing?
Hey, it's great to see you. And we're gonna have fun. We're gonna talk about
Oh, hell yeah.
yeah. I
Hell yeah,
like
we're
the
going to have some
Jaws
fun.
t-shirt.
Thank you, thank
Um,
you.
I gotta tell you, I'm gonna be I am putting together a sort of street fair type event, and we're gonna have a game show at it.
Oh,
And so I
really?
got one of those big, yeah, I got one of those big sort of spinner wheels that they have. And
Yeah.
I decided each color would be like a different category. And so one category was horror movies. And Jaws is like one of the top of all time.
Yeah, Jaws is amazing. Jaws is an amazing movie. It terrified me when I was young, and I'm still traumatized to this day. Even though I love Shark Week, I would never get in a cage or nothing like that.
Well, they an interesting thing about Jaws and the movie and the horror movie genre in general is that there's not a lot of underwater horror villains.
Yeah, there isn't actually. There's
Yeah,
very
yeah,
few.
they're kind of, yeah. I mean, it seems like it seems like we're kind of most scared about space, or else then there's the idiots who go walking after dark when there's a serial killer on the loose. I mean, if it weren't
Yeah,
for them, there wouldn't be any horror movies, right?
that is true. That's 100% true. And we
Yeah.
don't get people like Stephen King to like write like it or um Silence of the
Hmm.
Lambs anymore. You know, not Silence of the Lambs. Man, what's that one with Jack Nicholson?
Oh, yeah, The Shining.
The Shining. Yeah,
Yeah, that was so cool. I mean, you
and
know,
Cujo.
yeah, it just seems like the creepy, really big old places. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
after you see The Shining, you really don't want to go to a country club or like
ever
one of
again.
those like really big old school hotels or anything.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yep,
but I
yep.
know
It's almost as bad as taking a walk at night when there's a serial killer in the neighborhood, you
that
know.
is true.
Hmm.
But
Yep.
Dante, what inspired the series? What inspired the base?
Well, the base, it's just kind of interesting, and I'll show you the first book here. Shameless promotion of first
Mm,
book, and
Nah,
it
do it,
is,
girl.
yeah, it is on Amazon. And what kind of inspired that is there's always in life, I mean, in anything,
Yeah,
there's always that cat and mouse game between the predators and the prey.
yeah,
And if you are an innovator instead of being an imitator, then that means that the imitators are always going to try to like steal your ideas.
true.
And so there's always a big, cat and mouse game going on with that. So I decided, I'm a daughter of a research scientist, but he wasn't military. Um, I decided, um, to do a story, and I got a million stories in my head. I mean, I'm still
Yeah,
trying to type fast enough, but I decided to do this story on, the evil, evil, evil people who try to
yeah,
steal ideas. And then, there's sort of a moral underpinning of that because, you know, if you're a scientist for the military and
yeah.
you're making an invention and you want it to help save humankind, what do you call like a double agent? Someone who tries to steal the work and sell it. That's evil,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, I had good and evil, the difference between good money and bad money. And then just a lot of fun, because the base is where they send you when if you are an exceptional scientist, if you are someone who's really like over the top good at what you do, you don't, every 4 years how the military kind of transfers people, you don't get transferred to a base, you get transferred to the base.
base.
And that is where you're going to be with the people who have just incredible expertise in everything that they do. And those are going to be your coworkers. So each of these guys, and me pimping my book again, each of these guys is an expert at what they do. Like this gentleman here is that is Mr. Clark, and he is an expert on animating anything. You make an invention, he can control it. I don't care what it is, he can control it.
Okay, so like, are those like the three main characters of the story right there?
Yeah, they're the ones who stay with us for all 3 books. And the whole series, which we're trying to make into a film series, and we have video clips we have video clips. We had a lot of fun just running around. I live in the Rust Belt, and just running around the Rust Belt and all these locations, and grabbing a bunch of actors and someone who can work a camera, and and then filming little scenes and stringing it together into the film trailer.
That's so dope. So like, what's the so when you was writing the books and then you decided, what made you decide basically to jump from ink to film?
Well, I was on a couple of podcasts where the people after after time when you turn off the podcast and you're still sometimes chatting with people, and they said to me, this would transfer very well to a film series. And that there's a lot of streaming platforms out there, and they are looking around for content. So why don't you try it? And so, I decided to try.
No, and that's a big up. That's a big up to you, because like what you're writing is something that most people are super interested in, like espionage. The whole fight between good and evil, and the government's involved, where you have secret technology and all this. So it's like it gets the people going. It really does.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah,
so, like,
it was.
No, you were saying?
No, it was. It's just a lot of fun. Also creating those characters. Because there's so many different shades of, like, you have the people that are good and they're going to hang on to their integrity no matter how much you try to incentivize them to be evil. And then you have, on the other end of the spectrum, you have people that are just plain evil.
That's true. That's 100%. So like, how much research, when you were writing the base, right? How much research did you put into it to actually make it feel believable and really stick with your reader?
I did a tremendous amount of research. Like, one of the things is the guy in the middle here, who's played by actor Dennis Liverani. He is a military entomologist, and these people do exist. He actually is an expert on insects for the military. And so if you look at a lot of military machines and stuff like that, if you look at a helicopter, it is similar to a dragonfly. If you look at some of the other things that the military has, like tanks and stuff like that, you can see how they sort of draw their inspiration from the natural things around us. And so I had to.
No, I was about to say a lot of technology is inspired by nature itself, and humans trying to mimic how nature actually works.
Yep. And so I had to, make it accurate. So sometimes at night I was trying to research, bugs and other stuff like that to make sure that what I said about the insects that were loosely based on inventions and stuff that they would later use for these inventions. I had to be accurate with that. I don't want someone reading my book and then saying, "Oh, come on now, you couldn't have researched that," you know?
No, I got you. And those kind of critiques, especially with like small research, not I want to say small research, but like with like super accurate facts, like the readers want to know, facts about it, even though it's a fictional story. Especially if it's
Mhm.
based like on this universe, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, so it was the research part there that was a lot of fun. Because there's a lot of times, and I made my living for the most part as a baker and pastry chef.
Oh,
But
really?
yeah, there's a lot of times where you feel like you know the answer to something. And then when something proves you wrong, then you get that moment of learning. I mean, you don't want to learn something when something's burning in the oven,
That
but
is
I
not.
mean,
That's true.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it's nice to learn something the happy way, like, wow, that tasted much better when I threw that in because we didn't have any of this. You ever done that?
Yeah, plenty of times, especially trying to like, well, trying to like cook on my own when I had first moved out. I definitely made a bunch of mistakes, and believe me, once I like reached out and got more info, my cooking got a lot better on that.
Well, also, I mean, but sometimes there's the happy accidents where you open up the
Yeah, true,
cupboard and you think you have something, you don't, or like, what do I do now? And then you have a happy accident.
true.
And then there's also leftoverture when you open up the fridge and you don't have enough leftovers to make a meal of one thing,
Yeah,
and then you combine two or three things, and of course it is the best thing that you've ever eaten, but you can never do it again.
that's so true. I've done that so many times, so many times. So in the base, right, and
Mhm.
you have three main characters. Which character is the one that the book actually follows, or does it like kind of like hop around from each character's perspective?
It hops around, but the daughter of the scientist right over here,
Yeah.
Cullen,
Hmm.
and Cullen is the inventor of like artificial cartilage.
Oh.
Well, his 5-year-old daughter, we see a lot of it through her eyes. Like she will, and it's kind of funny because you see these scenarios happening, and she's sort of explaining it in sort of childlike terms. And so some of that is a little funny. Like they have a neighbor who has slumber parties, even though he's kind of old, but I mean he's their neighbor, and occasionally he'll come back from a bar and with a couple of folks, and they'll be making lots of noise at night, and so she thinks that they're having a
Never.
slumber party,
Oh, I see.
and
No, no.
that's why there's all this hooting and hollering going on next door. And so that's the so anyway, you kind of see things through her eyes, and sometimes her choice of words is from a 5-year-old's vocabulary, and it
No,
can be pretty funny because you, as the adult, like you're understanding on a different level,
yeah.
what she doesn't understand.
So like that perspective is like not really is I would say is like almost like a comic relief because she's
Mhm.
depicting adult situations through the eyes of a child, and your adult fans are like, hey, that's funny because she doesn't really understand what's happening.
Yeah, yeah, and there's several moments like that um where she's overhearing, and sometimes she's overhearing things, and so it is coming from her point of view as a 5-year-old, overhearing things or overhearing conversations and
Yeah.
stuff like that, or being able to sense that the people and the grown-ups and their coworkers, like sometimes they gather in the kitchen to have conversations because they know that there's a spy in the lab, and so she overhears these conversations, and and then you hear it from her perspective, which is you know a little
Yeah.
different from their perspective, but you get the idea.
Now I got you on that. And the villains in the series are spies and criminals trying to steal like the inventions. What makes them like a compelling antagonist?
Well,
Or,
the thing is that if
or
you
does
are making,
or
hmm?
I was about to say you do since the series is since it's a 3-part series, right? Do you have three different villains, or is it like one overlining villain that like continues through like the entire series?
There is a supervillain who continues through the series, but there are other
Nice.
ones that work as subordinates. The supervillain is a woman named Venus.
Okay, okay.
And but I mean, what kind of drives them is really the same driving force that drives most villains, and that's, the profit motive. And if you think about it, if you happen to know where a top secret military base is and they're making an invention there, that's worth money. I
True.
mean, that if you can get hold of that, that there's either going to be a foreign government or there's going to be a kingpin or something like that. I mean, everyone's going to want that new toy.
That
And
is true.
so, yeah. And so that is the story with villains, with regard to the base. Like there's, if you've ever been to a base, there's like a little satellite town around it. And, you got some good folks and you got some kind of sneaky
Some
folks.
some questionable people there, right?
Hmm.
And like with the technology that you're depicting in the series, right? What kind
Yeah,
can you give us like a little tidbit or a taste of like what kind of research the scientists are working on and what they're
sure.
trying to discover or develop?
Well, as well as I do, it's been said for years and years and years that the ultimate thing that any leader of a country wants is a completely loyal army.
True.
And if you think about it, I mean, especially now, but this book is based in 1976, but especially now, um, the way to get a completely loyal army is and then one that doesn't die off or anything like that, to be able to have control over all of that is to get one that you make.
True. So are we talking about cloning, robotics, androids?
Well, they make a device, but the device has to be completely loyal, and the device has to be able to clone itself. And so that is a completely loyal army that can replace itself, and you know and it has the military actually gives the scientists a list of attributes that the device has to have. Like, for instance, if we were dealing with today's conflict, the
Yeah.
device would have to be able to handle temperatures of -40 to like 140 degrees, because those are battlefield conditions like in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And it would have to be able to deal with sand and stuff like that. And so the military gives them like a wish list. I mean, you have what you make has to fulfill these like 10 requirements, and
No, I
that's
get
their
that.
check. Yeah.
Okay.
And so the scientists are really motivated by that. This is their challenge, and they have to come up with a device that can satisfy all 10 of those requirements. And then the exciting part is that they start off with those three scientists. And then once in a while, they'll add a different one who has a different area of expertise, like someone who is an expert on weather and
Yeah.
someone who is an expert on oceanography or something. So that way they can adapt their creation for different situations.
Okay. And like when you add these like side characters in, right, that help the three main scientists, is it like
Yep.
is it like in like how real life is, like where the government will have like a set of head scientists that oversee the entire project and like these side characters are just being like just brought in for like that one specific thing, but they don't know the whole picture?
Well, they're brought in to help achieve the um, the finished product, which has to have all the lists of the attributes met. So
Okay.
the government may bring in an expert on weather if this particular project has like 2 or 3 attributes which utilize things from weather. And so they may bring in a specialist in a certain area if they think that the other 3 are going to need a specialist in that function. But it's like all of us. When you get a new coworker, you kind of greet them with a mix of hope and dread. Like, I hope this one's going to be good, but they might not.
They might not. Yeah, I
Yeah.
get you. And are any of the characters in the series like inspired by people that are close to you or anything like that, or like real life people?
Well, I have to say, I mean, over the years, we've all met our share of villains,
Yeah,
whether we wanted to or not.
that's a big fact.
Yeah. And so, and they could be at workplaces, they could be at your apartment building. They kind of pop up everywhere, And so, there's a little bit of each one of them that sort of goes into the making of the supervillain there, Miss Venus. And some of her co-workers and subordinates.
I got you on that. And like, what's the deal with Miss Venus? Like, what's her origin story on that? Why is she like the big bad?
Well, Miss Venus, it's kind of interesting. I don't want to give it all away, but Miss Venus is just, I guess you can call her an injustice collector.
Okay.
And an injustice collector is someone who is just never has enough as the next person, always wants more. And, and basically always sort of feels like she didn't get enough. And
Okay.
that there's some kind of, that life is just treating her unfairly. And so, and that's kind of what drives and motivates her. I was really intrigued by some of the billionaires and stuff. I mean, not all of them, but some of them that don't go into philanthropy, or something like that. They just keep wanting more and more and more.
Yeah, because they feel like the world owes them one or something like that.
It's just I just can never seem to explain it. My adopted brother says it's a form of hoarding. Maybe that explains it, but there's some folks who, there's some folks who just can't get enough. I mean, no matter what, I mean, they have an issue that they are somehow or another, getting ripped off or cheated or something like that. And so that kind of sums up Miss Venus. Like, she's an injustice collector. No matter what she has, she doesn't wake up in the morning and count her blessings.
She's not grateful for. She's not one of those that are grateful for everything.
No, I mean, she didn't go to Walmart to get those signs that they sell around the fall that say thankful, grateful, blessed, and stick them all over her house. You know what I'm saying?
No, I got you on that.
Yeah. But, yep.
No, you were saying?
Well, we were really, really lucky that when we started to film scenes, and we filmed a scene with Venus, that we, in the part of the Rust Belt where I am, there's this place called Stone Castle Abbey.
Yeah.
And it is a former gigantic, over 30,000 square feet church that they turned into like this absolutely incredible, like, bed and breakfast, and every inch of that place has like hundreds of antiques.
No, that sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
Like,
and
just
so
to see it, yeah.
And that is what I really wanted to sort of portray Venus's house, because she would be the type of person who had to have more and more and more. And, so we were really lucky that we got to film in that place, because it's just so over the top. And if you do give the website link to people, they can see the video in there.
Roomies, the link is going to be in the description. Make sure to click it and watch right now.
Yeah.
Not right now, after this, but make sure to watch it.
Yeah, that is one of the craziest places I've ever been in. And it's like you tiptoe in that place because you're afraid of like breaking something or breathing on something, Yeah.
I got you on that. Like, especially with like structures like that, with that they have that super old school feel that it's just like over the top, and and the architecture architecture is amazing. Those places are beautiful.
Well, they had like collections, like 400-piece collections of crystal,
Ooh,
and they have a chandelier like every 6 feet. They have all these dish plate antique sets and things like that. I mean, it's impossible really to describe. They have one whole room devoted to the royal family, and they have all these artifacts in it from England and
yeah,
stuff. I mean, it
amazing.
yeah, it kind of it's as close as we're going to get over here on this side of the Atlantic to Buckingham Palace, the
Yeah.
way they did the play. So we got to have Miss Venus. That's the kind of house that she would want. And then every day she would go out and shopping and get more.
Nah, I feel you. Like I'm envisioning everything as you're
Mhm.
telling him to me, and I can see how Miss Venus is the big bad and how she's got her tentacles and everything and trying to get more and more. But when you at the point when you decided to make this into film, right? How
Yeah.
how would the difference between like writing the book, between like writing the screenplay for it, or like writing the script for the
Mhm.
scenes that we already shot?
Well, it was, it was a challenge because then I'm taking real live people, and I had to run around and look for locations, and of course get a time that would work for the locations. But then I'd also have to find people who could portray a character, but then could work with other actors and still, be mindful
Yeah.
of like, we have to work together as a unit to convey a scene and stuff. So I'm in the Rust Belt. There's a lot of abandoned and almost abandoned places. So was kind of lucky that we got to do some rehearsing in an nearly empty shopping mall. And it's
Sure.
kind of funny. I mean, when I walk through that place, other people do it too. I mean, I see like all kinds of, you know, stuff going on there with rehearsals.
No, I got you on that. And when you were writing the screenplay, did you already have some locations in mind, or did you just
Yes.
like start searching around?
I was absolutely praying for Stonecastle Abbey. I mean, the moment I saw that place, I'm like, this is
Yeah,
what Venus would want. You know, she would want to have absolutely every antique there is. I mean, she would want, you know, this is her house. And
yeah,
if we do get to the next level to film it as a series, I'd like to finish the filming there because there's nothing like that. I mean, except for Buckingham Palace. Yeah.
yeah. True. So did you find like the process of actually like changing mediums like difficult, or did it feel like natural to you?
Well, you have to learn a lot of stuff. You have to learn how to, I mean, you could sit there and write a script, but you have to make it fit into that camera lens. Like, when does the cameraman turn to this person's face?
Yeah,
And you always have to remember, like, what does the camera see? And since our series is based in 1976, and a fair amount of it takes place in, kind of seedy sort of bars on the outskirts of the base of town.
yeah,
um, it was such a challenge to find a bar without a big screen TV in your face.
yeah. I could see how difficult that could be. Like you would have to
So,
look into a couple of dive bars for that. Yeah,
yeah, and so the thing is I had to, all the locations that I went and did, scouting at, I had to make a list of like what I would call tech identifiers, and they would have to be scrubbed before a scene. Like, you can't have someone wearing an Apple Watch, you know,
yeah,
in a movie that's taking place in 1976. You can't have, like I said, the big screen TVs. We have a scene in a city hall office, and no computers, no computer monitors. Um,
yeah,
the security monitors where you have the split screen and you see like 10 locations. I mean, have to run in there and look at everything and then um, bring it back to 1976. I was lucky that we have a lot of thrift stores in town. So I can get things like an old school office telephone with a cord,
yeah, yeah.
for
You
a
don't
couple
find
of
those.
bucks.
Yeah, you don't find those anymore.
Yeah. So I went thrifting with one of the actresses. I mean, she plays, a dancer at the bar, and we went thrifting together. And so we just kind of had a checklist of all these things. Like you have to have a Rolodex, you have to have, an old school office phone. The calendar that was on the wall said 2025 when we were filming. I'm like, oh no,
No, no,
it'd be like Back to the Future. We gotta like make a 1976 calendar and hang it in its place.
no, I get that. And that whole process of like trying to get it like period accurate, did you have
Yeah.
to like ever did you ever have to like talk to a place that you really liked, like, hey, can I move this around just for like a
Yes.
couple of minutes? And like did you find a lot of pushback on that, or they were pretty cool about it?
I was lucky that they were cool about it.
All
And
right.
so, so you also have to make sure that any music that you have in there is licensed. So that meant like scrubbing out background noise and putting in your own music and stuff like that if you were in an establishment where they had music, because you know
Yeah.
we didn't get the entire establishment with nobody in it. There's stuff happening.
Yeah, of course. So
Yeah.
but not I that's so cool. So like how many scenes have you guys already filmed, and like what do you know, like what studios you're trying to pitch it to and all that?
Well, I'm hoping to get the base series on a streaming platform, I think, that or a network. Um, and I've been working towards that goal. The website has been updated with the essentials for that. I mean, if you are trying to pitch a book series, a written series into a film series, you need things, they call it a pitch deck.
Yeah.
You should have a couple of little scenes or something on film so people can sort of visualize it. And then you should also have like a plot summary. So the website has been reworked to have all of those things. So, um, you know, people can look at that and they can get an idea if they want to get involved in it. And, and they'll have, we had to redo some scenes so you could really sort of tell who was who, that you can really tell more of the plot, the
No,
storyline.
I got
Yep.
you. And did you handpick the actors yourself, or did you have like somebody help you like choose the actors and like source them?
I hunted and hunted and hunted for actors. I went up to random strangers, and stuff like that. I embarrassed myself a bit. I mean, some people were like, "Are you a weirdo?" But then a couple of months later, when I put the trailer out and I posted that on Facebook, like, "Hey, we have the film trailer." Then those people are looking at me like, "No, you're not a weirdo."
Nah,
You know.
I know, because sometimes people really need to see it like done before they actually believe in the work. You know what I mean?
I was lucky in that I had the books, and that the books I was putting out a book like every couple of months. And when I did it, I was crediting the actors were local, and posting it on Facebook. So then, and then I also put it in the local library, so some people knew that it was going on, but still, approaching random strangers in the gym and other places like that, they are, they're looking at you like,
Yeah. Like
what's up?
what's up with this? But
Yeah.
you found a great cast, I'm presuming, correct?
I was, so fortunate. I could not have wished for better. It's
Yeah.
one of those times where you just kind of like thank your lucky stars.
No, I
And
get that.
making the props and stuff was also an adventure. And buying the props was a lot of fun.
So
Just going, yep.
no, 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 no. You were saying?
Well, no, I mean, just trying to rebuild uh, an office, like a city hall office in 1976, um, using a 2025 office. I mean, and having like 10 minutes to do it, like just running in the door, tucking the tech identifiers, as I call them, under the desks, and don't unplug anything, and quick put your stuff out and stuff. I mean, it was a lot of fun.
And throughout the whole process, from like the costumes to, you know, directing and actually filming. Were you like 100% hands on, or were you like delegating those tasks to like people, you know, your trusted people?
I was hands-on, but I was also, giving people the opportunity to, to speak and voice their opinions because, you know, I don't have it all. And some of the observations that people made were very critical. Um, so I'm very thankful that, people felt comfortable enough to raise their voice and say, hey, wait a minute, that guy's got an Apple Watch on, you know,
True.
or
I
or
got
point
you.
things out to me, before it was pointed out the hard way, you know?
No, I got you. I got you on that. So if if the base was real, right?
Yeah.
Hold on. If the base was real, how dangerous would some of the inventions actually be?
Well, you know, dangerous would be if they're in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
If they're in the right hands, I guess it's like any other weapon. I mean, straight up down to like a BB gun. If you have an invention in the right hands or a device or whatever in the right hands, it's not dangerous, but the wrong person gets a hold of it or bad intentions or they are only motivated by money, then things
Yeah,
can
I
go
get it.
badly. Hmm.
I got that. I got that. Give me one more second. Why are military tech stories like so fascinating to audiences? You would say.
Well, I think because there, because there is all of these. I mean, especially now in like the recent like couple of years, people can see how much of this stuff goes on all the time.
True.
How people try to steal things, how people try to start up, conflicts and things like that. You can see how really fragile the whole concept of peace and quiet is. It's just something that requires, constant maintenance and shape shifting and, whatever to make it happen. I mean, I look at, some of the buildings I've lived in. I mean, this one has 10 units and its peace is fragile,
No, I get
you
that.
know?
I get that.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I mean, so so I mean, even in something like a microcosm like that, I mean, you know, it it's hard to do.
No, I
But I
get
mean, the military stuff is intriguing, I think. It's especially all the things that they can do.
I get that. I get that. Especially the fact that I would say it kind of like plays with the human imagination to
Hmm.
see like how far like, you know, us as a society has like developed, I would say, technologically wise. Does that make
Hmm.
sense?
Well, I remember growing up when they started putting satellites everywhere, and how there was a conflict in like the late 70s, and they said
Yeah.
that a satellite at that time could read a dime on the sidewalk. And that was like mind blowing to me because these things are like thousands of miles up there in the air, you know what I'm saying? But
Yeah, I get you.
but the capabilities of all of these things, and especially now with AI, I mean, that is, I mean,
Mind blowing.
yeah, it really
Mind
it
blowing.
really is. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and then you see how like technology, the advancement of technology is just like getting faster and faster. And before you know it, we'll be decades ahead of where we actually thought we were going to be at that time, you know?
Well, I mean, but the common denominator in a lot of these advancements is, how do we make a sale? I mean, that is the one of the biggest forces driving all of this. And it's just amazing to me. I was in the gym the other day. My friend had her phone
Yeah.
on her, and I was talking about um, planting a garden. And then all of a sudden, both of our phones had all of these suggestions of seeds and all,
Yeah, I get
flower
that.
plants. And I was like, it's like they can hear what you're saying, and then, how do I make a sale? How do I make a sale? It's almost back in the day, if you went to a store and you had a pushy salesperson,
Yeah.
that's that's what our phones have sort of turned into.
No, you're absolutely correct because I know that I've had conversations where I talk about like getting dog food or like buying some random item, and now, or even if when you search something, like you search something on Google, now all your other applications are like showing you things
Mhm.
for what you search for, and they're like, okay, like why they're correlating, but yeah, yeah, they're always listening.
Well, my friend has a young child,
Yeah,
and they bought a toy for the young child, and then they found out that that toy had spyware in it, and that
really.
the toy, looks around the apartment and sees is there like a dog bowl in there. And if it sees that, then you start getting bombarded with like, hey, do you want to buy your dog food here? And the toy has enough intelligence in it to search out a couple of different categories of things. And all of a sudden, your things, like your cell phone and your other
Yeah,
things, are telling you, like, why don't you get this? Why don't you get that? You know?
that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that
That's
that
wild.
your kids' toys are even spying on you. And there was a brand of, you know, automated vacuum cleaner, like the thing that just crawls
Yeah,
around your house on its
yeah, like
own.
Roomba.
Yeah, that had some spyware in there too. It was looking for dog bowls. It was looking for muddy boots on the floor. Okay, maybe you need a mat. You know.
No, it's true because your products, especially with products that connect to like your Bluetooth or like your Wi-Fi, they they're constantly in communication. Like they say a lot. They do say that like
Mhm.
home AI devices like Alexa does that a lot too. They'll like listen to your conversation in order to promote products to you.
Wow, I never got Alexa, and then or a home
Mm.
one of those home devices I ask stuff to.
Yeah,
But I mean, I'm not any better than anyone else. I mean, just because I type it into a search engine or you know, uh, do ask a question another way does not mean that it's going to, spy on me for that. And
true.
the biggest thing is when you order something, like when you order one plant, all of a sudden, or when you order like a t-shirt, all of a sudden you get all these advertisements. You must want more of those.
You looking for more of this, aren't you? And then they're like, no, I bought what I needed, but it's crazy like how advertisements gone from like just like standard commercials to like now it's implementing like smart software
Spy.
and spying on you to like basically get your money.
Well, when I was doing some of the research for the
Yeah,
book, um, I'm sure I tipped off some alarms and stuff because I was trying to look up like, which jellyfish venom stays toxic for the longest period of time and what insect can do this or that to you or whatever. And they
yeah,
probably thought I was a serial killer or something because I'm looking up all these, attributes, So
yeah.
yeah, I'm sure that the big search engine in the sky is saying, stay away from her house.
Like we gotta flag this one right here.
Yeah, I don't want to put a sign on the door that says, that I have a dog, watch out for the dog. I'll put a sign up that says, watch out for the tarantulas or something, you know?
I
I
get
mean,
you.
that then people are really going to be like, wait a minute, because you can't hear them, you know? I wouldn't
Yeah,
want to mess with that. I'd go to the next house.
yeah. I'll go to the one with the dog where I can hear it before it comes.
Right.
So what was like the hardest part from turning your book, turning the series into like film? Like what was like the biggest challenge that you faced when you did that or
Well,
doing it?
I think when you have like a limited time frame, like, I'm going to
Yeah.
have this location for like an hour. And so, right away I start sweating bullets. Like, is everyone going to be on time? And then, um, it's just, is everything going to work? I mean, the tech gremlins are the worst. Like all of a sudden
Yeah,
when
we
your
are.
computer doesn't want to know the camera.
Oh my. Oh, believe me,
And
I
it's
know.
like, yeah, it's just they're like, can't we all get along? It's just like, why are you fighting now? Why didn't you fight like a week ago when I had nothing to do? You know?
And it always happens right when it's like crunch time. And then
Yes.
you were like, but you were working like 10 minutes ago. Like, why are you doing this right at the second?
Yeah, I mean, why all of a sudden is it, playing dead, or why doesn't it want to talk to this thing or that thing? I mean, it's that type of crisis management is really, nerve-wracking, because it's like the clock is ticking, you know,
Yeah.
and so you got to hustle on that. Yep.
Nah, believe me, I know. I know. I've
Mhm.
had a couple of incidences where my laptop wouldn't boot up when I'm at
Yeah.
like a gig or like, and I had to switch to like a USB, which I have more. Oh well, outside of this, I'm a DJ too, so
Hmm.
like I've had incidents where my laptop is malfunctioning and I have to like switch to like a small USB with like more limited music. So I
Hmm.
know what it is, and especially when you're working against the clock.
Hmm.
Yeah. So if Hollywood called you tomorrow and they wanted to turn the base into like a full series, what would your dream cast look like?
Well, I would hope that they would consider some of the actors that are in that trailer, because they're
Oh,
very good. And we did that on a less than a shoestring budget, and with much less than ideal technology and stuff like that. So I would hope that they would consider them. And I have dreams of some of the other ones, like there's other scientists, like there's a female scientist in there,
yeah.
um, a military meteorologist named Morgan. And I think Jodie Foster could convey the right attitude of tough as nails and very, very smart, if she
Okay.
would like to. And then the base commander, I mean, he has to manage this three-ring circus. And so, someone who can be like, funny, but at the same time, like, really smart, and then can sort of see stuff coming. And
I got you.
I in sometimes I picture The Rock in that situation, because yeah, I mean he sort of
Yeah.
has that. You could tell that he could put on a uniform, and he could be intimidating, like he can be imposing,
Yeah.
and keep everyone in line if he has to. But on the other hand, he's also smart, you know.
Yeah, I got you.
And
I got you. I can see The Rock doing it.
yeah, yeah, and then there's other random characters, like there's a couple of scenes that take place in a bar, and there's one particular bar that is you know off the wall. It's in the next town, not
Yeah.
immediately the town where the base is. And that bar is called Nightmares. And it's sort of a goth type of inspired sort of club, where they have all kinds of freak shows, and people really dress up like Halloween style and go there.
Oh, that's
And
dope.
yeah, and
That's dope.
so
Yeah.
and so uh, our gentleman neighbor of Macy Cullen, the 5-year-old narrator, the guy who
Yeah.
likes to go to bars and make new friends and go home for a slumber party. He goes to that place, and he meets two dancers there. But the type of dancers they are, they're not your traditional dancer. They have a huge swimming pool behind the bar, and
Okay.
that's where these people, like, you can pay to see them swim and stuff like that. Some of them swim dressed as vampires. Some of them are in mermaid costumes. And so in the film trailer, we have a dancer who's in a mermaid costume.
Oh, that's cool. Cool.
Yeah, at that bar. And so the thing is, I say to myself, like, who could I have being some of these like dancers who swim? Like, I mean, would Cardi B be a good vampirist? And
I
you know what
can
I'm
see Cardi
saying?
doing
And
it. I can see Cardi
yeah,
doing it.
yeah. I mean, I can, and then they're not just one dimensional, like in that one scene. Like I don't want to, spoil the whole story, but two of the dancers um, do manage to get hold of a device.
Oh snap.
And I
Okay.
can see, I could see Cardi, you know, um, you know, being like, ka-ching, wow, that's worth money. Let's take it now. You know what I'm saying? And then trying to take it to the next level after that. I won't spoil the whole story, but I could see her being quite good at that.
I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
If someone listening has a story inside of them, but feels intimidated about writing a book, what advice would you want to give to them or share with them?
Well, what I'd want to share with them is like, look at the hours of your day. Like we all spend a little too much time doing something that is, just not doing anything for us. Like sometimes I'll go on Facebook and I'll see or TikTok, or something like that, where you see these little 10 seconds videos and you're going, ha ha, ha ha. And then you realize that 7 hours of your life are gone.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like an alien abduction,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So the thing is no matter what your thing is that kind of gives you that alien abduction thing where like just hours of your day just went poof and you don't know where it went, you can just say to yourself, I can find some time, I can find some time, and I can also, why not write? Why not tell a story? I mean, you got to keep those negative voices in your head that say, oh, you can't do that. Got to keep them down. Not going to turn into an egomaniac and be like, I can do anything. I don't even need to know how. But, give it a shot,
I feel you. I feel you. And do you have any final thoughts or words of wisdom for the roomies before we go?
Well, final thoughts and words of wisdom. Let me see. I would say, hey, if you know any film folks that want to perhaps look at a story, please share the website with them, because, we'd love to do this. It's too much fun to be legal to go and, turn people into characters and,
Yeah.
film and fool around and stuff like that. I mean, the actors had a great time. We all had a great time. And being in that castle, that was awesome. And so that's thought number one, like, hey, help us out. It's if you know someone, and if you know how to reach Cardi B or any of those folks, please do. I
Hit
think
her
she'd
up.
be great. Yeah. But other thoughts is believe in yourself and keep trying. And if you like what you do, just do it, and don't be afraid to, embarrass yourself by asking random strangers, to be a part of it, because you may luck out and find some really good random strangers. I'm very blessed I did.
Yeah. You heard that first, roomies. And with that being said, remember to go out there and just try to do something, because you never know when you might find your muse. With that, peace out.